Hello, my name is Yiviri and I am a postgraduate researcher at the University of Birmingham. Getting into a new area of research has always been overwhelming for me. And this is because there is a lot to read, and it can really be difficult to determine which ones are seminal papers that are most relevant to my research or my topic. And on top of that, new research papers are coming out every single day. And this makes the literature search process even more frustrating. Fortunately, I have discovered an AI tool that has helped to make the literature search process a lot easier and less overwhelming. So in this video, I'm going to take you through the basic workflow to help you search for literature in a faster, smarter, and more organized way using ResearchRabbit. So please come with me. Now, once you sign up to ResearchRabbit, this is how the homepage looks like. You can either start your search by typing in the title of a research paper that you've read before, or the DOI of that research paper, or you can simply type in the keywords related to your topic. So I'll go ahead and type in the keyword in education. All right. And so I'll run the first search. So these are the list of papers that ResearchRabbit has generated for me, has suggested for me. And there is also a visualization map. Good. So if you see from on the left side of my screen, you can see the visualization map. And then on the left side, you can see the list of research papers. Now, I am going to select the relevant papers from this list that ResearchRabbit has suggested to me, and I will use them as my seed papers. And those are the papers that ResearchRabbit would use to suggest more papers that are connected through citations and references. And when I'm selecting the papers, I think about the reference and citation count, especially the citation count. So I want to look at those papers that have been cited the most times. Let's look at this one. Okay, so this paper has been cited 175 times and it has 96 references. Okay, and then if we continue, let's have a look at this one. This has been cited for 430 times. Oops, no, let's go back. Good. So this paper has been cited for 430 times and it has 88 references with 682 similar papers. Now, I can then decide to use these papers as my seed papers. But before I do that, if I am unsure if these papers are relevant to my topic, because ResearchRabbit can suggest these papers and they are not directly relevant to my topic. So to be sure, I can select the paper and then go to the source page to check the paper to be sure that it exists and have a look at it by reading maybe the abstract or reading the entire paper to be sure that it is directly relevant to my paper. So this is the source paper and I can go ahead and download it and read. And once I have confirmed that 2 or 3 papers that have been suggested to me by ResearchRabbit are real papers and that they are relevant to my topic, I can then select them. Okay, so I'll select this one because it had a good number of citations And this one too had a good number of citations, and papers with highest number of citations would typically be seminal papers in a research area. So I would go ahead and select this paper, and then these two papers will now serve as my seed papers. And ResearchRabbit will use these two papers to suggest more papers for me. So this is what I have here, and then I'll go ahead and click on Find Related Articles. So articles that are related to these two that I have selected by references and citations. So let's run our next search. Beautiful. Now, ResearchRabbit has suggested more papers depending on or according to the seed papers that I just selected. Now, if you look at the visualization map, you realize that there are seed papers. You can clearly identify that because they have that black seedling inside. These are the two seed papers that we selected. And then the other circles represent the new papers that ResearchRabbit has suggested for us. So the process continues. If I want to get more papers, I can go ahead and select more papers here and add them to my seed papers and run another search. I can do that. I can toggle over the circles here on the visualization map, or I can come directly to the list of papers here. Now, let us talk about the visualization map. The visualization map is organized in a specific way. So papers are organized on the x-axis here from the oldest to the newest published papers, as you can see from the x-axis. And then from the y-axis, so on the y-axis, the papers are organized according to the most, or they are organized by the most cited, from the most cited to the least cited. This means that the most cited papers would appear at the top left side of the visualization map, and the least cited papers would appear at the bottom of the y-axis. So if we go by that, this paper will likely be the seminal paper because it would have the most citation counts. And if I want to iterate my search, I would select that paper, go to the source page and check if it is relevant to my research, and then I can add that to my seed papers, and the process continues. Now, what we can do is that I can save the papers that I have selected. So if I select this paper, for example, I can save it directly on ResearchRabbit, as you see here. And I can save the papers in my library, and I can categorize them according to different collections. I may want to save them according to the methods that we use in the papers, or the themes, or depending on anything that I feel is interesting to fall in a specific category. So I would then create a collection. Like you see a plus create collection here. I can create a collection depending on which collection I feel that the paper falls under. And then I can also link ResearchRabbit to my reference management tool. For example, I use Zotero. Zotero is the research management tool that I use. So if I want to link my ResearchRabbit to Zotero so that my papers, the relevant papers that I find on ResearchRabbit, are directly saved in my reference management tool, I can come to my profile, and if I click on preferences, it would give me the option to link, so you can see here, to link ResearchRabbit to my Zotero. So if I click on link, which I'm not going to do because of time, if you click on link Zotero, it gives you the instructions on how to do that, and it is a very simple process. So this is how you can use ResearchRabbit to easily identify seminal papers for your research. One thing that I really love about ResearchRabbit is that you don't run the risk of using papers that are generated by most generative AI tools that do not exist. I think it's a very common phenomenon nowadays where generative AI tools fabricate articles that do not exist, and people have been including them in their research. But with ResearchRabbit, you have the possibility to check right on ResearchRabbit if the paper truly exist. And when ResearchRabbit suggests a paper, and if it is not sure about that paper, it will indicate there that the source is not complete so that you can run a search for yourself to be sure that it is a real paper, so as not to fall into the trap of AI and its hallucinations. All right. I hope that what we have learned today has been useful for you and that you will go ahead and try to use ResearchRabbit for your next search. Thank you very much and see you in the next video. Bye.